The year is 1.5 million BC. For generations, they lived by the rhythm of the great savanna. While the body adapted to walk, the mind, in one individual, was racing ahead, a new kind of hunger. The path of innovation is always paved with dissent. The old ways of strength and instinct saw the new basis. But Kai understood that true power lay not in the size of the muscle, but in the efficiency of the tool.
Ra'a, T-L-U-U. The division of labor, the men for the heavy stone, the women for the vital plant life.
Water is life, and the life was running out. The slow, relentless march of the climate was their first and greatest enemy.
Even the simplest act of drinking became a calculated risk. The ancient well springs offered only mud and the threat of sickness.
WAA.
Instinct demanded they move, but the hope of the intelligent mind demanded one last effort, one last defiance against the inevitable.
The time for hoping was over. The time for action was upon them. The leader's grim command was the...
Yet, the dying land was not empty. A new kind of threat, more brutal than drought, had...
The great thirst had driven the apex hunters far from their territories. Where there was weakness, there was opportunity.
The sound of death is unmistakable. An ancient terror, magnified by the fading light.
In times of immediate danger, strength answers first. Zor, the pack's primary weapon, knew only one response. The throw of the stone was not strength, but calculated genius. Kai's creation became the momentary savior, buying them precious, bloody seconds. The ultimate sacrifice. The patriarch's final, instinctive act, shielding the future with the past. The sheer ferocity of the beast was overwhelming. A single, devastating blow that confirmed the hierarchy of the wound was a warning, a payment for survival. Even the greatest hunter respects the line where the fight becomes a dangerous chore.
The cost of life. The wound was not just physical. It was the crippling of the group of strength.
The reign of muscle was drawing to a close, not by defeat in battle, but by the relentless fragility of... In the absence of words, ancient rites dictate the order. The transfer of lifeblood...
His final word was not of revenge, but of survival. Go, live, push onward.
Personal shadesing. The immediate, devastating cold of loss settles over the tribe. The leadership is dead, and the visionary must...
Nature abhors a vacuum. The challenge for control immediately follows the death of the strong. Instinct demands the physically dominant must lead. Nature abhors a vacuum. The challenge for control immediately follows the death of the strong. Instinct demands the physically dominant must lead.
The test of true leadership. Holding the line not with muscle, but with conviction.
The silent assertion of command. No words were needed. The dead had spoken, and the path forward was non-negotiable.
The challenge is withdrawn, but the conflict is merely postponed. The new leader has been accepted, but he has not yet earned the loyalty of the strongest.
In the brutal world of strength, the emerging leaders found solidarity in intellect and purpose.
The weight of the future rests not on the tools of the father, but on the vision of the son.
Driven by the command of the dead and the promise of a far-off horizon, the journey was relentless.
The sky held a different promise now, not just of water, but of raw, untamed.
In a fraction of a second, the universe showed them its true, terrifying face. The chaotic primal fear is the deepest instinct. Fire, in its natural, untamed form, was the ultimate sign.
But where others saw destruction, the visionary saw possibility. A profound
Genofense. He saw the ultimate truth. The raw, searing power of this chaos was feared even by the creatures that feared Jix. The path of survival demands focus on the immediate. Only Kai could see the beyond the immediate terror. The yearning begins. To harness the element that terrified all others. To make the chaos obey. The journey continues, but the destination has changed. It is no longer just about water and food, but about the relentless pursuit of the power of Luu-Ma. The morning was swift, for survival allows no time for tears. They left behind the safety of...
Doubt is a corrosive poison. Zor, embodying the old power, questioned
The laws of the savage world are cruel and absolute. Weakness invites death.
The leader is faced with the impossible choice: save the group's speed, or defy the natural order by protecting the dying.
Abandonment is the rule of the animal. Zor's brutal logic was simple. Dead weight is a death sentence for the rest.
The choice of the mind over the muscle. Kai's rejection of Zor's logic was a foundational moment.
The quiet approval of the intellect.
Lia understood that true survival requires not only strong bodies. The price of compassion is exhaustion. As the light died, the hunger and the fatigue were amplified. The relentless journey continued under the cloak of night, where every shadow held a potential killer. The energy debt was mounting. Every day demanded more fuel than the land provided, turning every
The team's dynamic was flawed. Kai sought strategy, demanding patience and coordination, while Zor's instincts...
TLU.
Communication was the evolutionary bottleneck, trying to convey sophisticated...
Old habits die hard. Zor rejected the complexity of the mind, trusting only
The unforgiving land is patient. The wild punishes overconfidence and lack of foresight, revealing the window of opportunity closes instantly. A moment of impatience, a breakdown in communication, and the entire collective effort is wasted.
They returned with only dust and defeat. The cost of their internal conflict was the immediate, agonizing gnaw of hunger.
The famine was palpable, affecting the most vulnerable first. The women, the providers of the steady, meager... Failure seeks a scapegoat. Zor refused to acknowledge his own impatience, instead blaming...
The mind fought back. Kai argued that the problem was not strength, but the lack of coordination, the failure to evolve their hunting methods.
The scouts moved ahead, the brain of the tribe seeking knowledge and resources. Every shadow...
The natural order was broken. The observer recognized a deliberate act, a sign that they were no longer alone.
The truth was unsettling. Other men. But these were men of a cruder mind. Their technology
A confrontation of eras. The blunt force of the past meeting the meticulous craft of the future, all competing for the same meager resources. The awareness of other intelligent life demands supreme caution. The greatest danger is not the beast that acts on... There they were, the ancients. A different branch of the family tree, still bound by primal, scavenging habits. Their methods were clumsy, their tools rough, but their goal was the same: pure, high-density nutrition.
The realization was chilling. Competition for survival was now among men. Every piece of food scavenged by...
Wisdom dictates retreat before unnecessary conflict. Kai had gathered the knowledge, realizing the scarcity meant a violent confrontation was now a certainty. The map of the territory had changed. It was no longer empty. It was simply waiting for the inevitable clash. In the famine, a single tree bearing fruit is a lifeline, a promise of energy that could sustain them for days. But abundance is fleeting. The lifeline was already claimed, setting two hungry, desperate worlds on a nest. The leader attempts diplomacy, seeking shared survival over immediate conflict. The mind seeks collaboration, but the stomach demands Zor saw negotiation as weakness, a fatal waste of precious time. To the warrior, the answer to scarcity is always dominance. The evolutionary advantage is instantly clear. Taller, stronger, and more coordinated, the erectus quickly seized control. Kai held his moral line even in the chaos. The fighting was Zor's instinct, but the efficient acquisition of food was Kai's strategy. WAA.
The price of survival is often the loss of innocence. Lia saw the cruel necessity but mourned the lack of a better way forward.
The spoils of violence were sweet, yet bitter. They had survived, But the brutal necessity of the moment had reinforced. Fire requires material, dryness, and friction. Kai understood friction, but he lacked the patience and specialized tools to create it efficiently.
Pure physical labor could not unlock fire's secret. He needed a different technology.
If wood friction wasn't enough, then collision must be the key. A reckless idea, but one capable of creating a spark, the tiny flame of life. Impact force is the key. He risked damaging his most prized tool in pursuit of the spark, a strategic weapon for survival. The spark, the sign of life, appeared, but it was weak and fleeting. He needed better tyndales. He understood that the spark was just the beginning. Fire needed a cradle, a slow-burning medium to nurture.
Even in sleep, the observer remains vigilant. Lia saw Kai's obsession and understood he was pursuing a
failure yield a lesson. With the cooperation of thought and observation, they were ready to challenge the power of nature once more. The journey became a procession of the condemned. They carried their dead and their dying, a constant crush. The second shadow falls. Ma's quiet passing was the final break in their spirit. Grief is a dangerous luxury in the wild. But the combined weight of their failures, the patience. The leader cannot afford the weakness of tears. Kai internalizes the crushing loss, knowing this moment of despair.
The primal logic reasserts itself. The failures confer the curse of the path. Zor's voice.
Midpoint. The point of no return. Kai knew returning meant slow death. Only a radical commitment.
The final act of respect must be brief. Survival demands efficiency, even in grief. The bodies must... Lia brings the first signs of culture into the moment of desperation. The simple stones are a prophecy. They left their dead behind, taking only the grim lesson of endurance. The bond of the living was stretched. The emotional void must be filled by purpose. The pursuit of Luu-Ma was now an absolute obsession. While the men searched for the dramatic calories of the hunt, Lia sought the steady, reliable sustenance. Evolution's greatest lesson is taught in the most mundane moments. The observer's mind is always open to the simple genius of the natural world. The key to Luu-Ma was not impact, but focused, sustained friction. The bird, an unwitting master of heat dynamics.
The sudden connection of disparate ideas. The bird's effortless technique offered the solution to Kai's brutal failure.
The most critical partnership in their history was about to be redefined. The observer brings the wisdom of the world to the visionary's technical obsession.
Lia explains the physics of heat, not the impact of collision, but the slow, persistent build-up.
The technical mind recognized the breakthrough instantly. The symmetry of the rubbing motion, a continuous cycle of energy. The body still struggled to catch up with the mind. The friction technique required precision, endurance, and coordination.
The partnership perfects the technique. Lia provided the rhythm, the steady hand that transformed chaos.
The solution lay in shared strength. His raw physical energy, fueled by her meticulous observation and patience. Heat is invisible, but its effect is not. The wood, pushed beyond its tolerance, began to surrender its. The work demanded a brutal commitment of energy, far beyond a quick sprint. This was endurance. Lia remembered the lesson of the Black Valley. The ghost of fire is the best fuel. Smoke. The first undeniable sign of success, the physical manifestation of the energy. The ember is life, the delicate, terrifying spark that must be protected at all costs. The intimate partnership, the human breath, the vital force of life itself, nurturing the
Luu-Ma. The fire is born of human ingenuity, no longer belonging to the gods or the sky.
The brute is silenced. The physical power of the strongest man yields to the intellectual power of a tiny. The battle was won, but the war for survival was just beginning. They now held the ultimate.
For the first time, the darkness of the African night was challenged, not by the moon or the stars.
Instinct warned of danger, recalling the terrifying power of the lightning-struck tree, yet a deeper, more profound. The fire was not just a heat source. It was a tool, a weapon, and an extension of the human will. The revelation was immediate and absolute. The deep fear of the dark, the most ancient, debilitating human weakness. The first comfort. Fire provided the energy they needed, not just through calories, but through warmth. The most important discovery of all. Fire did not just provide warmth, it unlocked nutrition. The muscle is convinced by the comfort. Zor accepted the superiority of Kai's idea not through logic.
Safety. The fire created the first true perimeter of human control.
They had done it. They had brought the gift of the gods to man. But the path ahead was still long, and the first sleep of the secured man is often the most vulnerable. The scent of cooked meat and the steady glow of the physics. The responsibility of Luu-Ma weighed heavily. The visionary's sleep was never deep, his mind a sentinel against. The great hunter was back, drawn by the irresistible scent of safety and heat. Instinct breaks the sleep. The roar of the Sabertooth shattered the night's peace, forcing the final stand. Kai abandoned his stone axe for the superior weapon of his mind, wielding fire against the beast that had taken his father. The ancient magic works. The fear of the uncontrolled element, the chaos of the burn, instantly overrides the predator's hunger and aggression. The ultimate conversion. Zor's strength finally yielded to logic, accepting that the mind's creation was more powerful than the muscle it ruled. The unified front. The brute force and the strategic mind merge, wielding the new technology to face the ultimate threat. The ultimate victory. The controlled flame had defeated the apex predator, not through violence, but through the overwhelming power. The challenge is ended. In the light of the fire, the mind had finally and decisively earned the loyalty of the mothers. Security breeds curiosity. With the immediate threat neutralized, the tribe could finally turn their minds from
the ultimate test of conversion. The hunter brings the kill not to his mouth, but the fire.
Lia, the chemist of the tribe, initiated the caloric revolution. The application of heat breaks down fibers. The smell of cooked food, the first great perfume of civilization. It was a sensory shock. The brain reacted. The difference was profound. Cooked meat required less chewing, less digestive energy, freeing up
the taste of fire. The sweetness of the cooked protein was the reward for their relentless ingenuity. The sweetness of the cooked protein was the reward for their relentless ingenuity.
The knowledge spread instantly, proving its worth through immediate benefit. Cooking was not a choice, but a superior new. The silence of ease. The energy saved by cooking, once used for chewing and digesting tough fiber.
The peace offering. The mind of the visionary had provided the ultimate gift, the body of the warrior.
The great leap, from raw survival to caloric efficiency. The fire secured the mind's future, providing the serpents. The fire built the first true community. It became the heart of the home, transforming scattered individuals into
Luu-Ma,
the ultimate offering of respect. Zor acknowledged that the visionary's power of creation was greater than the transfer of knowledge. Kai and Lia standardized the process, passing on the crucial technique. The mind, fueled by cooked meat and protected by fire, began to abstract the world. The safe commitment. The tribe invested their labor into a permanent structure, ensuring the safety. The technician refines the tool. Lia's meticulous observation led to the creation of superior, standardized material synthesis. The hunter adapted, making his weapon more deadly, stronger, and more enduring, proving that the mind's technology was beneficial to the body's task. The ultimate defense. The light created an intellectual boundary, a safe zone where the mind could fight it. The new leaders, the mother and father of fire. Their partnership, the combination of scientific skills, the final frontier, stability. The cave, once a temporary refuge, was now transformed, the first architecture of the mind. The deliberate definition of the inside, the safe, warm space, against the
deploys. The hearth was not just for heat. It was the tribe's first table, the first workshop, and the stage for communions.
The sudden need to record. The fire offered light, and the coal offered pigment, leading to the visual language emerges. The tribe externalized their memory, preserving the triumph of Luu-Ma over brute force for all who would follow. The time for silent aggression is replaced by instruction. The safety of the hearth allowed for the careful patience of language. The ability to see and communicate clearly in the long nights drove the necessity for more complex vocal communication and cooperation. The first sanctuary. Protected from the elements and the predators, the human spirit could finally find rest.
They settled by the fire, but their journey had just begun.
The first generation of the secured man walks the earth. No longer driven by desperation, but guides. The leader leads by intellect. Kai's confidence was rooted not in his ability to fight, but in his ability to
the enduring partnership. Lia, the observer, ensured the practical survival of the knowledge, carrying the means to ignite their future at any moment.
The character is transformed. Zor's strength was finally serving a higher intelligence, making him a more formidable and efficient hunter than he could ever be alone. The echoes of the future. The children, raised in the light, now instinctively sought knowledge and technique, inheriting the legacy of invention, not just survival. The world is still immense, cold, and challenging. But the fear is replaced by opportunity.
The expansion of the mind drives the expansion of language. The complexities of their new life.
They carry the fire within them. The confidence to leave the secure home is the proof that then
the silent promise. The fire, the ultimate tool, remained burning steadily.
They were no longer simply Homo erectus. They were Homo sapiens in nascent form. The people.
The path of survival led them into the forbidden lands. A primal, scarred landscape where
every step was a penance. The black stone tore at their flesh, demanding a steep price for passage through the land of the sleeping giant. Yet, here, the thinker found a tangible connection to the power he sought.
The earth had already experimented with Luu-Ma. The fire's residue, a dark, brittle memory, survived the elements.
The wood was not just dead, it held the ghost of the fire's heat. Kai realized the potential of charcoal. To the mind of strength, this was madness, playing with strange dirt while the threat of the harsh landscape loomed large. The power of the earth was both a terrifying warning and a fascinating lesson. They learned that heat, when intense and concentrated.
They carried the memory of the fire, not in their minds alone,